Hey, one awesome community. This is going to be a short and sweet podcast. It is episode 339, and we're sort of celebrating today. It's April 30th. Tomorrow, hopefully, around the country, we'll have the quarantine somewhat lifted and we can get back to normal life. But I'm celebrating spring today with my colors. If you're just listening to this, trust me, it's a very colorful jacket. We're going to talk today about, so there's an elephant in the room? Have you ever wondered about expressions and where they come from? I did a little research and it's just like they just sort of show up. But that's one of my favorites is, we got to address the elephant in the room. Do you ever just visualize an elephant? And for a lot of people that don't grasp this lingo, they're going, huh? What elephant? Where is that elephant? But I've been hearing that expression for a long time. Just like the expression, let's do it on a whim. What? What is a whim? And why would you do it on a whim? I mean, there's all sorts of explanations, I'm sure, if I want to take the time to Google it. But I sort of don't script this. But I came up with a couple other ones. One is, this is a new one to me. Oh, shut the door. Or, oh, shut the back door. I'm like, what? I had not heard that one. I think we should come up with a dictionary for all of these expressions on a whim. Let's do it on a whim. And then, take me to the cleaners. I think we all get that one. Take me to the cleaners. If somebody comes along and takes your money, takes your belongings, or whatever, takes you to the cleaners, mean they've cleaned you out. That's a very disturbing expression because you don't want to hear it. You don't want to ever have to say it, that they've taken me to the cleaners. You just want to say, honey, take this to the cleaners. And that's the best expression of all, but that's a disturbing expression. Some of the other expressions that come from movies and TV for like, you've got mail. We all know that one. All has to do with email and Sleepless in Seattle and different ones. I hope I got that right. But then you've got the Clint Eastwood one. That's make my day. Yeah, make my day. I don't say that too often, but I'm sure there are times that we would like to embrace that one. And then explain it to me. That is an old one, and that comes from Lucille Ball. She had no way of understanding what her husband Ricky said with his thick accent. So she would say, "Splain it to me," or he would say to her, "Splain it to me, Lucy," and then she would say back to him, "I'm going to splain it to you." So that has been one of my all-time favorites for a long time. And one of my fellow podcasters, Robert, said that to me the other day and laughed. He said, "You remember that one?" I think it's like commercials that get in your head and they just hang on, and you all of a sudden express this expression that, wow, I'd forgotten that one. And it comes down to the fact that right now we're all a little bit stir crazy because we've had to go into this quarantine world. And so we're coming up with things that, oh my goodness, back to the new norm. We're going to have a new norm. There's an expression we didn't have before all this. So expressions come from explaining things that we can relate to. And so one of the things that I think that's important for us to relate to is to each other. There's a lot of people out there that can't relate to what's going on. They've never been through this. Nobody's ever been through this. But they're in dire need of someone reaching out and saying, hey, we got you covered. That's another expression. In fact, there's a blinds company that's been franchised out. We got you covered. Got you covered is a franchise. So it's amazing when you think about all these little expressions, how they tie in to our lives. But we talk about we're in this together. There's another phrase. I've said that phrase on my podcast intro for years. Together we can do so much more. And that's what it's come down to, is becoming part of a society that we do things together by getting on Zoom calls, embracing maybe an idea that you've had and you just haven't put it into action, and you're like, wow, I think now's the time to explore that. Now's the time to get into action with that. For me, this shutdown has been more of getting back to a different creative sense for me. I've taken up my sewing. In the midst of all this, I've created a new sewing room, a new area that is just all about sewing, but it's so much more because I'm also a jigsaw puzzle fanatic. So the new craft table I have also doubles as a great puzzle world for me. So those are things that I've embraced, but I've also stayed connected. I've stayed connected through Zoom calls, FaceTime, cards, just reaching out and touching someone without doing it physically, because we can't do that right now. We all miss that. We all miss that very important physical connection, the hugs, and thankfully my husband and I are here together, and we can cuddle in the evening. But there are some families that are separated due to circumstances, and it's very, very heart-wrenching to hear those stories. But this is short and sweet because I just want to express to you that as we go back into our world and the new norm, we need to be very aware of people that need more attention than other people do. And you might find them not keeping their distance because they have been so confined. And so I think one of the attributes I don't have much of is patience. My family laughed at me the other night. We do a Bible study Zoom. And one of the things was, what was one of the things that I wish I had more of? Or some such thing like that. And I said patience, and they all just cracked up. I just am not, in business, I can be very patient. But in my personal life, I'm not patient. And I recognize that about myself, and I've tried to improve upon it, and that's just part of me. And so I'm learning to be more patient with things that I can't control right now. There's just, I can't address things that I can't control. And I think that's where a lot of us are exasperated. And some are very furious. I mean, I started out being so mad at everything, and then I realized being mad doesn't solve anything. Being mad takes up energy that is just going up in smoke. I mean, I can't control anything. I can control my behavior. I can control the fact that I wear a mask when I go outside of the home. I can control the fact that my husband and I take a walk after dinner, keeping our distance from other walkers. I can control somewhat my sewing. That's a whole nother story. And to tell you a little side note here about my patience, my kid's dad created a board for me. I don't know where it ended up, but it was to put over my sewing machine. And it said something like, here I sit and sew, and here I sit and swear as I go. And it was just because I had an old Singer sewing machine to start out. And it was a clunky thing that my mother had given me, and the buttonhole thing was about this big, and you had to attach it, and then it wouldn't work, and the zipper thing, and I would get so exasperated and so frustrated. And so I'd swear like a sailor, which is another expression. Swear like a sailor. This is another expression. And I'd just sit there, and it would be blue smoke all around my head because it was filling the air with not some pretty stuff. Because I had no patience. I had no patience for that, and yet it was something I could control because I could control redoing it and working on it. But this stuff that we've got right now going on, we got misstatements coming from all sorts of areas. You don't know what to believe. You don't know what's true, what's not true, how to react. Just stop taking it in sometimes is what helps. I cannot be on a lot of Facebook right now because I don't want to be pulled into conversations that stress me, because I can't do anything about that if I get stressed. I can't control what I just read, but I can control not reading it because it doesn't do me any good. And so there's a lot of advice out there about what to do to overcome the commotion that we're going through. And a lot of people say don't listen to the news. I choose very carefully when I listen to the news. I've listened to it the second time for a month today from last night's recording, because my husband told me something that had happened and I wanted to see for myself. But I couldn't do it before I went to bed because I start that going and then I don't sleep. So there are simple things that you can control. If you feel the need to listen to the news, then maybe do it at a time that doesn't stress you as much as it might another time. That's just a thought. There are lots of thoughts out there. There are a lot of experts. I am by no means an expert. I am coming from my perspective. But I just wanted to jump on here and let you know, hey, in the next few days, our patients are going to be very strained, even more than they have been, because now we're going to be allowed to get out somewhat. But then the restraints will come back. So that will cause us to go, I was so thankful the other night. Our daughter and our husband dropped off 4 hibiscus plants to us. That's what she gives me every year for Mother's Day. And they went around to every single local stores that we have here and found all they had. There were 8 of them. But they dropped them off. We stood apart. And I can't tell you how hard it was for me not to hug my own child. But I did not dare. She has my granddaughter home who has asthma. Did not dare even think about putting her in any kind of jeopardy, although I have been quarantined. So that was hard. That was very, very difficult. And I know other people are having a terrible time with that. I'm known as the connector in town, and people worry that I'm going, buggy because I haven't been out and about, but I'm okay. I'm okay with that because I can't control that. And when I get back out there, I got to remember, no handshaking and no hugging. Do the hip bump, do the foot touch, do the elbow touch, but probably not any of those because that puts us too close, right? So here's what I want to share with you. I'll pack up. Here's more of what I want to share with you. There's an elephant in the room. There's just no doubt about it. And this elephant's planning on sticking around for a while. So I just want to wish you well and hope that you remember to find a way to laugh every single day. I have a Zitz calendar. It's about a teenage kid, and it's just hilarious to me. We watch different shows that make us laugh. My husband and I just did a silly video together that the family started, this video challenge, and we did that, and that was a lot of fun. Find ways to laugh together. Put a puzzle together. If you can find any, they're all sold out everywhere. But do something that invigorates your creativity, that ignites your brain. Reading, I love reading my mysteries, so I read those, have been reading those. My puzzles, I'm putting puzzles together a lot faster. And my husband says, well, that's because you have more time. I says, no, I'm doing it the same amount of time, but I don't know. I'm just getting faster at it. Who knows, right? So anyway, I just want to wish you an absolutely awesome day. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening and staying tuned, watching my videos, listening to my audios. You make my day every time I see someone has actually come in and listened. I hope you keep it up. I plan on keep doing this podcast. And who knows, I might increase it and do it more often. One never knows. So just remember this, you will hear back from me again. But in the meantime, when you don't have a mask on and you get to do an eye-to-eye with somebody, give them a smile. It will make their day, and it will make yours too. And if you want to know more about me, if you want to subscribe so you get this in your email, just go to oneawesomecommunity.com. Thank you so much again for listening, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.